Today we're in the Basin Reserve in Drysdale. This is a really precious little remnant on the Bellarine Peninsula. A lot of the native vegetation has been cleared for farming, for houses, for industry, and so what we've got left is really precious. It provides habitat for native animals. The trees help clean the air, providing oxygen for us, and besides that, it's just wonderful to go for a walk through this area and enjoy the peace and serenity and have the opportunity of admiring native animals in their natural habitat. Behind me I have a cluster of grass trees, which would be many hundreds of years old. They obviously don't grow to that overnight. When we're planting back native vegetation, it's a long-term process. What we put in today may take 10 years, 20 years, or even 100 years to actually be providing habitat for wildlife. Now we're going to show you a patch of bushland which has been revegetated in the last 20 years by adjoining landholders. So 20 years ago this was a farming paddock, and the owners decided that they wanted to do revegetation to extend the natural reserve here across into their property to provide habitat for wildlife. And you can see 20 years of tree growth, and these trees are really looking absolutely amazing. They're providing habitat for wildlife, and they're really an absolute joy to be in amongst.
So now we're on the Bellarine Rail Trail. This is a community planting site. It's about 5 years old. These corridors provide linear connections throughout the landscape, and we're able to use them to join remnant islands of vegetation throughout the Bellarine Peninsula. With 95% of the original vegetation removed, these projects and revegetation initiatives are critical. The plants have come from a local community Indigenous nursery, and we use these plants to revegetate. So come and join Sophie and I, and we'll give you some tips and tricks on native revegetation to make sure you get the best results for your efforts.
Here we are on Swan Bay, and we're next to a coastal salt marsh. So we're at a revegetation site where a lot of work has been done previously, as you can see by the tree guards.
Now it's time to put the plants in the ground. Before you do, just consider your personal protective equipment. Make sure you've got closed-in shoes, gloves and safety glasses if appropriate as well. Now let's look at the soil and how to prepare it. First of all, you can see here, this site's been pre-mulched. That's perfect for keeping weeds down. We need to just remove a little bit of the mulch to get down to the soil profile. On this occasion, we're using this tool called the Hamilton Tree Planter. It's perfect for revegetation. It's the same size as your tube stock, so when you put it in the ground, you're going to get the ideal size for the plant as well. You can use a trowel, but just be careful to make sure you don't go too deep or too shallow for the tube stock. The technique for this is a bit of a twist. Pushing down and leaning and start to twist on it, and it works into the soil profile. A little bit of a wiggle, and then it should pop out and leave you with the perfect hole. We've got this plant, a Coast Rerilda. When taking it out of the tube, it's important not to damage either the stem or the roots. So don't pull at it like that, because you can damage it. The best way to do it, I find, is to turn it upside down and give it a few gentle taps on your shoe. Often that's enough. If it's quite tight, you can use the end of your trowel or the end of your tree planter. Just a few gentle taps. Often that's enough to loosen the roots, and then you can simply pull the tube away. Now we've taken the plant out of the tube, it's time to pop it into the ground. But a couple of important tips. Don't plant it too shallow, where you can see part of the plant sticks above the ground. That'll dry out as it warms up during the warmer months, and you'll find the plant often dies. Don't also go too deep where the soil can sit around the stem, because you can get stem rot there, and also the plant can die as well. Just below the surface of the ground is probably the ideal position for the plant. So I'm going to backfill around the plant now. Now we've got the plant in the ground, it's quite important to make sure it's got really good contact with the soil. To do this, you need to be quite firm in pushing it down and making that contact. What you don't want to have is air pockets underneath where the roots can dry out over time. Just backfill with a little bit of mulch around it and job's done.
It's important to think about protecting your little seedlings when you put them in the ground, and there are a variety of different tree guards. This one's a core flute guard, and it's probably the most expensive of the list. I also have a milk carton guard here, which is your cheapest option, and a plastic guard which has 3 cane stakes. Definitely worth considering putting guards on your plants.
So we really hope that you've been able to take away a few learnings from today. How to revegetate, why you would want to revegetate, and where you would do that. We really encourage you to get out there, join your local community environment group and attend a revegetation day.
But the most important thing is get out in nature, enjoy it and have some fun.